Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel, and today I'm covering 4 different films all releasing this week: Wicked for Good, Rental Family, Hamnet, and Eternity. These will be very brief reviews, but all of which are films worth watching this Thanksgiving week, so let's not waste any time and get right into them.
Because I knew you.
You're the only friend I ever had.
Because I knew you. And I've had so many friends.
I was not prepared for the vengeful, bloodthirsty Tin Man subplot. As a big fan of the first film, Wicked for Good was a very satisfying conclusion to the storyline set up in part 1. The heart of both of these films lie within Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's chemistry as Elphaba and Galinda. When they're on screen together, the film soars for the better, but because of the direction this film has to go, it's not as often as part 1. But as someone who expected that, the times they did come together were all the more satisfying. And honestly, I've heard a lot of negative reactions when it comes to this movie and its reliance on the Wizard of Oz and the connections that it makes to that film and to the reasoning as to why, Elphaba and Galinda are separated and it's not as focused on them this time around. And frankly, I don't get those negative reactions because that's, of course, where this movie was going to go. We all knew that. That was the expectations that I think we all had going into this part, and I was not taken aback by that whatsoever. I was actually really satisfied with the way that it weaved together with the story of the Wizard of Oz. I thought it was mostly clever in its way of doing so, and again, satisfying is the way that I use to describe this movie in terms of it being a second part to a 2-part story. And when it comes to the music in this film, I may be in the minority with this one, but I absolutely love the song Wonderful, as it was one of the more lively musical numbers in the film, along with my love for Jeff Goldblum as the wizard. But the 2 showstoppers here are, of course, No Good Deed and For Good. And similar to the first part, some of these subplots from side characters felt a little lackluster, but when watching both of these films together, which I think is far and away the best way to experience this film, I think your enjoyment will be unlimited.
I'm just an actor. I don't know how to help people.
What I'm offering here is a chance to play roles with a real meaning.
What do you need me for?
We need a talking white guy.
Rental Family is a beautiful movie through and through. It follows a struggling American actor in Japan who finds himself working at a business who sells emotions, essentially. They go out and fill the roles as a husband or a father or a journalist for those who are feeling lonely or to keep appearances in the eyes of their families. It's a fascinating concept that sparks emotionally complex and morally ambiguous decisions for our lead character, and I'm so glad that Brendan Fraser is the one to be in this role, and the fact that he's come back to acting in general is just so great. He's such a likable lead to follow, and you can tell that his kindness to his clients, especially with the old man in need of being remembered and the little girl in need of a father, makes him perfect for this job. But knowing that each job must come to an end, you constantly dread the potential emotional damage this will do for these characters. Although I wish there was more time to flesh out each of the many great dynamics at play here, this is still a very heartwarming story and one that is perfect for the Thanksgiving holiday. It'll also make you desperate to visit Japan, as it did for me.
That place in your head is now more real to you than anywhere else.
I am myself indifferent on it. Again!
Do you not wonder what is in it?
In what?
The play.
I even prepared for how sad this movie might be, but the second they started playing on The Nature of Daylight, I was done for. Hamnet is an awards favorite this year for a good reason. Chloe Zhao has been hit or miss for me over the years, but this film truly had everything for me. This movie follows the fictional events surrounding the loss of Aeneas and William Shakespeare's son Hamnet, and how the subsequent grief led to the writing of the iconic play Hamlet. The events of this film are based on some sense of reality, but it is a largely speculative look at how the events of Hamlet thematically represent their real-world lives. From an acting standpoint, this film will for sure be a frontrunner, especially with Jessie Buckley's incredibly moving performance, and Paul Mescal continues to exclusively be in incredible movies. I don't think he's been in a bad movie ever. This movie takes its time to live with these characters, but by the time the movie is coming to a close, you are so glad that they did, as the film features one of my favorite endings to any film this year. Best Picture nominee for sure, and a frontrunner for Best Actress. Also probably a frontrunner for score, cinematography, adapted screenplay, and just a countless number of different categories, and Chloe Zhao might finally get her Best Directing Oscar.
You're a lurker, pal. You're waiting beyond to spoil a half a century of marriage.
It's not a competition.
Yes, it is!
Sweetheart, is 100% for sure a competition.
It is in fact a competition.
That's literally what we're here for.
Imagine if a film student took Eternal Sunshine and Loki and mashed them together. And I say this not as an insult, but rather that this exact concept was used in a student film I worked on in college, only it was about Romeo and Juliet entering the afterlife. Love that script as well, and I think that the concept works great as a feature film. What if in the afterlife you are forced to choose between your husband of 60 plus years or your first husband who tragically died young? It's an impossibly difficult scenario, and this movie has a ton of fun fun building a world around just that. The interpretation of the afterlife here is so much fun. It takes the form of a train station that diverts into different eternities that cover anything and everything your heart could possibly desire, whether you want to spend eternity on a beach, in the mountains, in a world of capitalism, or my personal two favorites, Food World or Satan's Eternity. Impossible decisions to choose from. The options are endless, and the film's production design is filled to the brim with creative worlds to stir on. But the focus of the film is the love triangle, and our three leads, Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner, do a great job at investing you in their drama. I will say that one of them does get shortchanged a bit, but out of fear of spoiling the movie, I won't tell you who. But it is still a very fun and creative rom-com despite its more predictable qualities. But those are just going to be my thoughts on these 4 films releasing within this week. Which films are you looking forward to, and if you've seen them all, which are your favorites? Hamnet was by far my favorite of all these films, followed by Rental Family and Wicked for Good being neck and neck. I did enjoy Eternity a lot, but one of them sadly had to take the bottom of this mini rankings. But that'll be it for me. Of course, if you did enjoy this review, make sure to leave it a like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews just like this one. And if you like the idea of a mashup review like this, make sure to let me know in the comments down below, because I'm more open to doing these mini reviews just like this one now. So thanks everyone for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one.